start my presentation, I'd like to have us watch a little video with different well-known thought leaders who are going to give their take on what Race Amity is and what it means to them. And so let's go ahead and do that.
When it comes down to staying in contact with the humanity of each other, that racial amity sits at the very center, because what it says is that there is possibilities of being in contact with the humanity of each other, no matter what color or class or gender or sexual orientation or national identity, and that therefore there's some hope for love and justice in a world of such overwhelming hatred, contempt, domination, and oppression.
Talking about the words of E pluribus unum, what does that mean? That means that all of us together, and we know that we never would have survived on our planet had we not protected each other and taken care of each other. And yes, here we are, alive so big on our planet Earth. Yes, E pluribus unum. We can go forward, taking care of each other, taking care of Mother Earth, our planet, to make sure that it is there for generations to come. Yes, we can do it all together, working together. Si se puede. Yes, we can.
We cannot erase 401 years of systemic racism by one fell swoop. But here's what we can do. We can face the problem. As James Baldwin said, not everything that is faced can be changed. But nothing can be changed that is not faced. Secondly, we can speak up and speak out. We can join with others. As an African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go ahead. Go alone. But if you want to go far, let us go together.
You know, I think the important thing for us to keep in mind when we're moving forward is that this is not something to fix. It's something to build. I think human beings are inspired by building something. And all too often, the work that we've done around diversity and inclusion has been about fixing the problems of the past. Now, I'm not saying there aren't things that need to be fixed. Of course there are. But when all you're doing is fixing problems, all you're going to find is more and more things to fix. When we're building towards something, we create a powerful vision of the future that includes people working side by side together, that includes people understanding each other to greater depth, that includes people being more conscious about their own processes so that they can make decisions more consciously and powerfully, rather than just be reaction machines. And we can begin to paint that picture in a way that we're building towards something. That gets us out of bed in the morning. When we do have problems that occur or breakdowns that occur, it puts us in a context of, okay, how do we fix that to move towards that, rather than just to shut it down?
So I think that social movements of the past have really laid the foundation for the type of work that's going to be taking place in the next few decades for people in my generation, especially when it comes to race and racism. We're dealing with an age where the structural issues are very pertinent, but we also have some mechanisms in place to address them, the few that exist today. And as we work to address the structural racism more and more, I think that our generation is going to be in a place to deal with the principle of unity, and it allows for a space to start talking about unity where people from different racial ethnic groups can start to interact and actually start to build up new ways of looking at the world and addressing justice in a way that involves everyone.
There is this beautiful idea that if we just all love each other, if we just all get along, it will all be good, that all that's required is intention. And I personally, as a white person, I've been stunned by the amount of work, self-work that's been involved in really in being in relationship, not just with people of color in this work, with other white people in this work, and with the work in general. So let me explain a little bit what I mean about that. Racism is a global system of white supremacy that is designed to dehumanize all of us. I mean, after all, I can't dehumanize another person unless I first dehumanize myself, and to divide. And so, the project is really for me to rehumanize and reunite with my one human family.
See, here's the intriguing thing about Amity that really needs to be interrogated a lot deeper than we've interrogated it, because some people look at it and say, okay, love, friendship, and all of that, that's nice and, fluffy, but it doesn't get to the social and structural roots of the problem. But if you look at Amity as a way of creating a qualitatively different relationship amongst people that will lead them to want to change the status quo, then it becomes a necessary precondition. It lifts race relations to a much broader level, so that you see it in terms of the connection between human beings.
So without understanding our history, all of our history, the contributions not only of people of African descent, but Native people, Asians, women, we don't know who we are. We do not understand the very high bar we have set for ourselves, and that we are ever developing as a democracy. We're not done yet. We're just becoming, and we are always becoming free.
That was very powerful. So what we see from this initial video is that Race Amity is about recognizing that we have a problem and facing that problem, but not staying stuck there. It's taking steps to create, to build something new that honestly has not been done before. Not the way we're doing it with this. It's brand new. So each one of us has a part to play, a very important part, and all of us has our work to do, on ourselves and on projects together, because we're, like they said, it's laying the foundation. This is not pretending to be the only answer, but it is the foundation, because we have to start talking to each other. We have to start getting to know each other on a human level, and it's about taking baby steps and creating a new tradition. And with that foundation, we'll create together peace, prosperity, and freedom for the future. It's a brand new vision for humanity. And without amity, in other words, solid friendship, collaboration, and in creating something new, all the laws in the world are not going to change people's hearts, and it's not going to really change, the way we see things. So I feel like this is a key element to resolving racism. Friends don't let friends suffer. Not real friends. They don't let friends suffer without standing up to do something. So I'm hoping some people here will also be willing to stand up and work together to create that new future, work together in friendship to create that foundation of peace, prosperity, and freedom. We don't know what we don't know because we don't know each other. Sometimes we don't even know ourselves. As the woman, the white lady who's talking about, she wrote a book called Waking Up White. And I read that book, and it is very interesting because it took her all her life to figure out that there was actually a problem. She never knew because her parents wouldn't let her watch the media, wouldn't let her be exposed to anything. So she was shocked when she became an adult. And I mean, most people aren't to that extreme, but I think we are blind to our own limitations, to our own circle. We often stay there without getting out of that. So, may I just share my story and how I got started? Everybody okay with that? Okay. So, I believe I've been passionate about racial and social justice since I was a teenager, but not because my parents talked about it. They didn't talk openly about a lot of things. That was just problems with the marriage, I guess, but they didn't talk about stuff. But my church minister did. He brought up a lot of social justice issues and brought them out in his sermon and encouraged us to live Christian lives, out in society, out in everyday life. And he encouraged us to march against the war in Vietnam. And our little church, a group of us, went out on the streets in Bellingham, Washington with our signs. And I don't know if anybody noticed, but that, I think, planted a seed for me to be interested in what we can do as individuals to change the world. I mean, it didn't probably change much, but it did plant a seed, so that's important. Then when I got into college, community college, I wrote about social justice. Well, let me back up. I became the associate editor of the school newspaper, and I was there on a scholarship. So part of my scholarship was that I was, associate editor. And I wrote about social justice issues, including women's rights. And I almost got into trouble with the women's rights thing because I guess I was threatening my male teacher, so I got to watch didn't want to lose my scholarship. But anyway, I did enjoy writing about that. I mean, I was passionate about it. It wasn't just doing it to do it. So today I am a retired school teacher who has a big vision for Albuquerque and the world. In November, well, I've done a lot of personal work. It's not just that all of a sudden I decided to do it in November 2021, but I've done work on myself and read books and talked to people, and some of it was painful, some of it was really good. So I discovered, I began to go to, in 2021 November, I started going to committee meetings sponsored by the National Center for Race Amity, which is located in Boston, Massachusetts. And I saw different communities that were doing things. I saw them hosting small and large events. Small, like in backyard barbecues, or standing on the steps of City Hall and reading the Race Amity Proclamation. That's how, I think that was one of the first people who did it. That's a real interesting story, pouring rain, and this 90-something old man who was sitting on the steps of City Hall reading, I don't think he wasn't reading anything, he was just standing there with a banner that said Race Amity. And when he passed, I mean, he did, that was the first time, and then it grew and grew, and when he passed, even the people, and not very many people were behind him. When he passed, hundreds of people came to his funeral, and they started joining the Race Amity movement. So, I believe he was doing it from the other side, but it was like, you never know what seeds you're going to plant, and who's going to be touched by what you say and what you do. So, I saw that Race Amity is a tool, both a tool and an outcome, for eliminating prejudice and for having ongoing conversations about race and the steps that we can take. So who here loves tools to make things easier? I do. Tools in my kitchen, tools on like my computer. I love tools. Then in January 22, I decided I wanted to do something in Albuquerque. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I wanted to do something, and with the assistance of a dear friend who is actually on the National Center for Race Amity, and she works there, and that was another connection. It's another interesting story, pure somebody putting us together, because I didn't plan it, but we happened to, and we become good friends. So without her encouragement, that's a good example of cross-racial collaboration right from the foundation. And I decided to host a Race Amity festival in Albuquerque. I didn't want it to go as small. If I had a barbecue in the backyard, probably nobody'd show up. I didn't want to do, just something simple. I wanted to do something, average size, maybe like 30 people, that would be good. 25, 30 people, that would be good. And so I decided to start searching the internet. Who can I connect with? Who can I talk to, and who can they refer me to? I had no idea, but I kept moving forward. I did want to say, though, that one of the reasons that pushed me to do this, I felt like it was a calling. It wasn't just some random thing. I felt like it was a calling, and I couldn't say no to it. It was just something, and I just felt like, I don't know if we're supposed to mention God, but I felt like God was pushing me in. I'm just being honest. He was guiding me to the right people and introducing me to this person, and then that person, and people have been. They're not here. Most of them aren't here today, but there have been people that just they're all for this idea, and they have helped me, push me in the right direction. One of them is sitting right in front of me. And so, anyway, yeah, like I said, in January I had no connections, basically no connections outside of my little community in Northwest Albuquerque and my faith community. And I started reaching out, making connections, and then inviting them to the festival, and I reserved the park. And it's been 100 little steps that it takes to host an event like that. And it's about living Race Amity. It's not just about an event, because it's not going to stop with that one festival. And so I just want to say, before I go into some of the history of that first Race Amity proclamation, this is historical. All of you here are part of history. This is the first time something like this has been done in Albuquerque. And the fact that I'm speaking here, it's never happened in Albuquerque, and the event in the festival in the park in June, it's about a month from now, is the first time, and it's not going to be the last. And the next time, I'm going to have more people helping me plan, because this shouldn't be just one person. And it's not. Actually, I should mention my friend Sally, who was another person who magically dropped from the sky and showed up in my world, and she has many connections, and she is my co-worker, my partner in crime, I guess you could say. She's a wonderful friend, and she has been helping me all along the way. So let's get into a little bit of the history, not too much, but in 2015, in the state of Massachusetts, the governor of Massachusetts signed into law the proclamation of Race Amity for the entire state of Massachusetts. That's actually, in Massachusetts, is the place where the center is located. It's an actual physical building. They have, people who work there. And so he signed into law that proclamation in 2015, and the second Sunday in June was established as officially the National Race Amity Day every year. So, and then in 2022, fast forward, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Mayor Tim Keller signed the proclamation for Race Amity. I think they're still working on it, but I went up to City Hall, went up to his office, first time ever, and I spoke to someone, and I got to see it, and they are working on it. So It is happening, and they are actually going to come. Somebody from that office is going to come and read the proclamation to everybody who shows up. So I think that's going to be very exciting that they're willing to do that. So, and if you want more information about the national, about Race Amity in general, you can go to raceamity.org and click on that link, and you can see there's videos, there's different examples of what different communities are doing, there's resources, lots of stuff, interesting stuff that you can see what other communities are doing. So, like I said, many cities and states are doing it. Here's 2 examples of cross-racial friendships that have shaped the foundation of American story. His story, her story, as well as his story. So, Rabbi Abraham Herschel and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. were friends marching in you all know this, marching in the Civil Rights Movement together. Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune and Eleanor Roosevelt were also close friends, and Dr. Bethune has an amazing story as well. Her parents were born to parents who had been slaves, and she established a school for black girls, and then that together joined with a school for black boys, later became a university. So she was also one of a handful of women who was the president of a university in the United States. I mean, there were almost no women doing that. So her story is totally inspiring, very, very inspiring. She's amazing. But it's because of that cross-racial friendship, I think that allowed her to go farther, and allowed, that allows all of us to go farther than if we were to just try and do it alone. So next year, like I said earlier, I would like to have more community involvement in planning this. If I try to do it myself alone, I can do it, but it's not going to be as big or as effective as if I have more collaboration. So who here thinks that community collaboration is going to make this even better next year? Yeah, I do. Okay, so as part of the follow-up activities, there's the National Center for Race Amity created, I want to show this video that they created called Race Amity and the Other Tradition, which highlights these friendships which have been as much a part of American history as the racism story, history. So this is the video, the American story, Race Amity and the Other Tradition. I want to have it as a follow-up after people, we're starting with like a potluck in the park, something where we can kind of get to know each other a little bit and start appreciating each other, seeing each other as human beings, and tearing down a bit of that fear that we all probably have, or many may have. And so this is racism through the lens of friendship and collaboration. Then, I just got this in the mail yesterday. Then on the back, I just noticed that they are working towards having a national resolution, having the President of the United States sign something. So there is, right here in the back, there is what they're asking the President to sign. I guess they've been working on it for years. It hasn't happened yet, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. At the very end, authorizes and requests that the President issue a proclamation calling on the people of the United States to observe National Race Amity Day with appropriate programs and activities. So, I mean, it says a lot of stuff, but anyway, yeah, so it's about collaboration, and as the African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. And if you want to go far, then let's do it together. So that's what I'm inviting all of you here to join me in this effort to make Race Amity not just a household word, but something that we live by and something that actually changes the quality of our relationships every day and our ability to effect positive change, the needed changes, from those friendships can come, who knows what, I'm not going to predict, I can't say, but it will depend. If you want to help by inviting your friends, that would be one way, and the more people we get involved, the faster and the better it's going to develop. So, next slide. Assistant, next slide. Thank you. Welcome. So this is, you can't read it. Oh, maybe you can. And I apologize for the quality of that. They didn't, their regular projector was not, they couldn't get it to connect to my computer because I don't have a PC, I have a Mac. So we're using this one. So so it's the first annual Race Amity Festival of Albuquerque. And we're gonna have music. Dance, I haven't been able to arrange yet, but that's what my vision was. Arts and crafts for the kids. There's going to be activities for the kids, and a potluck in a family-friendly park. It's at Mariposa Basin Park in the Northwest, which I think is one of the most beautiful parks in Albuquerque. It's got a duck pond, and it's got lots of grass and trees and basketball courts and all kinds of stuff. And you can contact me for more information. So this is what to expect. Icebreakers, speakers, I think I'm still working on that one. A reading of the Proclamation of Race Amity. So the icebreakers are going to be an important part of it because that's the connection part. Whether we have all those bells and whistles of the other things, the music part, well, the music is happening. That's already confirmed, but I can always use more musicians. If anybody here knows, I need an African American group or person who would be willing to perform. Native people, I would like to have them. We are going to do a prayer in Navajo, Spanish, and English. So we're still working on that, inviting people. And then there'll be an invitation to follow-up activities, of course. So this is an invitation to you to, if you're ready, to help build a new future for yourself and for the community. So I am super excited about this. Children will definitely have activities, and whatever it is what it is, and I think it will be fun. I had to expand my vision when I found out that certain people are going to show up and probably bring their people. So I had planned maybe 25. I'm thinking there's going to be maybe 40 or 50 people. People say they're coming and they will show, but other people, I know that when people say they're coming and they bring their family, it's going to be more than the number who say they're going to come. So that's it. That's basically it. This is the mission of the Race Amity Project. The mission of the Race Amity Project of Albuquerque is to contribute to the betterment of the world through friendship and collaboration. And it was inspired by the mission and guidelines of the National Center for Race Amity. The NCRA established Race Amity Day as the second Sunday in June each year. We will follow up with a dialogue on the themes of race elimination of prejudice, and the full acceptance of our oneness. So now I am opening up the floor for questions and comments, because my official presentation is over, so it wasn't 2 hours, so. But I don't think I'd even want to speak for 2 hours, but that's too much.
Connie, you said this meeting in June is on the 12th?
June 12th,
June 12th.
Sunday afternoon, 1 to 4. 1 to 4. Program I'm foreseeing to start at 2, but people want to bring their food and get settled and find their table and, you know, probably a little bit before 2, so they'll be, you know, they'll be ready. Yeah, like I said earlier, the cross-racial friendships are the very foundation of this movement, because it's not just a one-day thing, it is a movement, and feel free to make comments or questions, or
I think it's really cool that you're doing this.
I agree.
It's awesome.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for your support.
of course.
And I agree, just like that gentleman who stood on those steps.
What?
Just like that gentleman who stood on the steps by himself, but later,
Later, it grew so fast because you just don't know who's watching you. And people, even though they may not have the courage to come the first time, they may eventually come. I hope you don't wait till I'm dead, though. So, yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to have you here.